Hi, everyone. My name is Meryl Stewart. I'm CEO of Marketing and Business Solutions, and I'm glad you're joining me today. I wanted to talk a little bit about how to motivate teams, especially if you're a leader. With the new year, we all are off to kind of a fresh start and hoping for the best that the year has to bring. And I wanted to start off by sharing a story and an experience from when I was an employee before I had my own business and working with clients. I worked in media for a little while. And when I did that, I had the opportunity to, at I think the age of 24, to be in charge of a promotions department. I think I had about 11 employees. We had charge of promotions for our sales force. I was also the youngest department head and the only female besides the CEO sitting at the table, which was intimidating at the time. But I learned a lot about how to work with my peers as a co-leader on projects, but also how to motivate others to get things done. And at the time, I learned a lot about how to not treat people. I think that when I think back on positions that I've had and jobs that I've done, that time was probably the biggest learning curve on whether or not I was going to take away some really important tools to be a better leader in the future. And I learned that asking people to help you instead of dictating to them what they should do was definitely a better strategy. I also learned a little bit about how to engage my peers, who were mostly men and older than me, into really coming up with solutions that we could work on together, and to try to not be intimidated myself by their own experience and years in the industry, and to listen to what I had to say because I felt like I had good input. So, a few things that I learned from that. One, as I had mentioned, asking people for their help. I know for me that if someone asks me to help them, I am in 100% without question of really what they need help with. It's just the way they asked me to participate. If someone tells me that they want me to do something, my first reaction is to kind of pull back and get a little defensive and a little suspicious about what they want and why they're asking me. And so I would urge you that if you are a leader of a team and you have trouble maybe getting members of the team engaged, to maybe look at how you're communicating. Are you asking or are you telling? There's a big difference in how we innately respond. So asking people for help was a big deal. The other was asking people for ideas and input. If I went to somebody that had, in my perception, more expertise than me, there was a higher likelihood that they were willing to give me kind of nuggets of information that probably would have taken me a much longer time to learn. But because I asked them in a way that made them feel respected and made them feel like I really cared about what they had to say or the information that they had, it provided me with greater engagement. They were more willing to have a conversation, to share their experience, to give advice or direction, than if I went to them and said, "Hey, I have this project to work on and I need some information about this." It was just in the approach. It was approaching it more from a relational and conversation standpoint than, you're my peer and I need help and you're going to help me with this because more or have expertise than I do. So it was how we had the conversations. The second part I think that was important that I learned was a lot of times there's this perception that as soon as you give people on your team a task or a responsibility, um, everybody kind of, there's those who do and who are in, and those are the 20%, the 80-20 rule. 80% of the work gets done by 20% of the people. But I had a greater engagement reaction from my employees and members of my team when I gave them something to react to, where they didn't feel like I was just dictating a task to them and it was going to take up a whole bunch more time that maybe they didn't have or perceived that they didn't have to work on something. And so even though it took a little bit extra time on my part, what it ended up doing in the long run was far worth the benefit. It allowed me to be a better communicator about what it is that I really needed them to accomplish because I was able to think through it ahead of time and put it down into a draft of something. Two, it served as a guideline for me to then have a conversation with my team about how we were going to get involved and what all of our responsibilities were. But it also gave me a way to engage them very directly in, this is something that I've put together and drafted, and I really value your input. And I need you guys to look at this and give me some feedback on it. And when I would do that, it would give me a greater response from them interactively than if I had just said, Joe, go do this, or Jane, go do that. It felt more collaborative, and it felt like they got to kind of give feedback to the leader who, and sometimes is perceived as this person that they can't challenge or touch. I hope you're not that kind of leader. I hope you're interactive and easily approachable. But sometimes there's that perception. And so when I gave people things to react to, it just kind of leveled the playing field a little bit. We do that with our clients. A lot of times we need things from our clients in order to help them get the work done that they need, or help them be better positioned for a solution that they need. But it means that we have to take the first crack at it sometimes, and that they have to be in review mode. And as CEOs and as leaders, especially team leaders, a lot of times you don't have time to create something from scratch. You need to be in reaction mode. But the best way to teach your team to start thinking that way, so that they come to you better prepared with material that then you can review and you don't have to create, is kind of by showcasing that yourself and modeling that to your team. So I would definitely say that if you don't currently do that, try it. See if it works. See if it changes the dynamic of how your team responds to you. And then the third thing that I wanted to relay about kind of this experience working in media with this team was, I really had to learn how to play to people's strengths. I had to admit what I was not good at, which was hard at 24 to imagine that you're not good at something. But there's plenty of things that I wasn't good at doing. And glad that I had the wherewithal to admit that, but also to really look at the strengths of the team and not focus so much on what everybody's bad at doing. You're always going to find things that people are bad at doing. I think it's just kind of our nature. We like to poke holes through things. But if you really kind of bend your view to think about what people are good at doing and lean on those strengths to really pull up the team, you'll be a better leader. And if the team is successful, then you're successful. I think a lot of times leaders get into this place where you almost feel like I have to prove myself to my boss, or I am the CEO and shareholders and other people are looking at me and I have to be able to prove success to them. And so I need to be successful. I need to look successful. But the success of a true leader really comes in the success of their team. And if their team is successful, that honestly tells more of the story than if just you as the individual come out glowing. And so if you can bring people along with you, it is a testament to I think, better leadership. I know I experienced that, learning through the ranks of different jobs, that if I, participated in the team and we all work together to pull each other up and push each other along to the goal, that we all came out as winners on top, and honestly looked better to our bosses and at that time, the CEO, because I was able to have a collective group of people go in the same direction at the same time towards a common goal and achieve it. That was a great success. So I hope this is helpful for you. I hope that as you're starting the new year and you're thinking about, different ways to maybe change up your leadership style to get the results that you want to in your business or your company or with your teams, you'll keep these things in mind. If you'd like to learn more about what we do in helping businesses, please visit www.mymabs.com. It's www.mymabs.com. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.